Republican politicians just revealed who they really admire, and it is so much worse than you think. And if you enjoy watching American politicians accidentally reveal that they have the moral compass of a broken GPS, hit subscribe, because what I'm about to show you is chef's kiss. Let's start with Vivek Ramaswamy. Remember this guy? He ran for president in 2024 saying we should raise the voting age to 25. We should abolish the FBI and the Department of Education. And that January 6th Capitol attack, inside job. You know, normal stuff. Then he dropped out and endorsed Trump. Now he's running for the governor of Ohio because apparently that's just what failed presidential candidates do now. Ramaswamy has a vision for Ohio education. Year-round school, merit-based pay for teachers, because clearly the problem with education is that we're paying teachers way too predictably. And he also wants AI in classrooms, calling it transformational.
Make parenting more affordable by making school year-round and going till 4 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock so you don't have to pay for childcare.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about Vivek's credentials. He's a 39-year-old biotech bro worth hundreds of millions. He went to Princeton public schools, then an elite private Catholic high school, then Harvard and Yale. His own kids, private school, obviously, because nothing says I believe my own education policies like not subjecting your own children to them. So naturally, he's the perfect person to completely reshape public education for other people's kids. I mean, who better than somebody with zero teaching experience and unlimited money to decide how underpaid public teachers should work year-round? The year-round school thing, brilliant. Teachers in Ohio start at around $40,000 a year, and many work second jobs. Clearly what they need is to work for more days for the same garbage pay. Problem solved. And merit-based pay, love this one. You know what teachers need? The constant anxiety of not knowing if they're going to be able to pay their own rent because their salary depends on whether their principal likes them or not. Union contracts that guarantee basic pay scales and prevent arbitrary firings. That's the real problem with education. Definitely not the underfunding or the fact that teachers spend their own money on classroom supplies. The real issue is that teachers have too much job security and too predictable of income. Oh, and the AI in classrooms, you know, the technology that was just exposed in California for making up fake court cases that prosecutors use to keep people in jail, that AI, perfect for educating children. What could go wrong? Here's my favorite part though. Ramaswamy posted this incredibly serious video where he says, we're at a fork in the road. It's not about owning the libs anymore. It's about owning responsibility for saving our country.
It's a free country. If AOC or anybody else wants to run for president, let them. I think for our side, we would be better off not just focusing on the insanity of every strange proposal coming from the woke left or the far socialist left. If that's the direction the Democrats are going, so be it. We need to offer an affirmative alternative ourselves of who we are and what we actually stand for as Republicans. And President Trump has delivered on his campaign promises quickly, sealing the border, delivering international peace in places like the Middle East, and that's great. But the question for us is, if that's what the next generation of Democrats is doing, where are we heading as the next generation of Republicans? And I think the clear answer is we're the party that stands for the revival of those American ideals, the American dream. Colorblind meritocracy, capitalism, the best system known to man to lift people up from poverty. They're headed in a socialist direction on the other side. I want to make sure we're not the less socialist party. We're the actual pro-capitalist party.
Wow, okay, so we've moved past owning the libs and we've matured. We're saving the country now, except the actual plan is the exact same thing conservatives have been doing for 30 years. They wanted to fund public schools. They want to push vouchers to religious private schools. They want to break and dismantle unions. And this time it's wrapped up in this like, we're in a fork in a road narrative. So he thinks he's being revolutionary, but he's just coming at us with the same grift. But you know what? Vivek's whole let's destroy public education grift isn't even the most disturbing thing I'm going to show you today, because I need you to see what MAGA Mike Johnson just said on Stephen Miller's wife's podcast. And I promise it makes Ramaswamy look like an amateur. Mike Johnson, again, Speaker of the House, third in line to the presidency, went on Katie Miller's podcast, who's married to Stephen Little Bitch Miller. Yes, that Stephen Little Bitch Miller, the guy who designed the family separation policy and is afraid of sidewalk chalk. And it was a real meeting of the minds. Katie asked Johnson a softball question. Who are your favorite world leaders?
Today, MBS was here.
Yes.
Who's been your favorite world leader that you've met? here in the Capitol, not overseas?
I will say he's a very engaging person, but I've gotten to meet a lot of heads of state. I've met my counterparts of other parliaments. I do think the Arab leaders are the most intriguing. The King of Jordan has come a few times, but
What's the most underrated thing about MBS that nobody knows, based on your experience?
his sense of humor. I mean, he's just a very engaging guy. And we had a forum today with the top Republican and Democrat leaders, both sides are bipartisan, the chairs of the various committees of jurisdiction. And he just wowed them. I mean, and my Democrat colleagues were leaving, and Greg Meeks, he wouldn't mind if I said this, from New York, Democrat, he said, he's really good. I said, yeah, he is. So it was encouraging. We need that partnership between the two nations, and I think it was good.
Okay, here's what a normal answer might be. I don't know. Democratically elected leaders of allied nations, people with decent human rights records, anyone who hasn't recently murdered a journalist? MAGA Mike Johnson's answer, Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. That's who the Speaker of the House admires most. Now, let me refresh your memory on who MBS is, just in case you forgot. MBS is the guy who the CIA says, with high confidence, by the way, ordered the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. You remember this? October 2028, Khashoggi walked into Saudi consulate in Istanbul to get his wedding paperwork. He was a Washington Post columnist, a U.S. resident. He never walked out. According to U.S. intelligence, Turkish intelligence, and a UN investigation, he was murdered and dismembered inside that very building. They brought a bone saw. The CIA assessed MBS's that he personally ordered it, and Mike Johnson names him as a favorite world leader. But wait, it gets better. Johnson doesn't even name him. He just said he was wowed by him. He was gushed. He was praised by his sense of humor. He called him really engaging. His sense of humor, off the charts. The Speaker of the House was impressed by the sense of humor of a man who is very legitimately accused of ordering a journalist's murder and dismemberment. I'm sorry. What jokes was MBS telling? A journalist, a bone saw, and a consulate walk into a bar? What exactly was so funny, Mike Johnson? When asked about what's underrated about MBS, Johnson talked about how impressive and engaging he is, and then casually mentioned Democratic Congressman Greg Meeks and how he agreed with him. Oh, good. It's bipartisan. Both parties agree that the guy who allegedly murdered a Washington Post journalist is actually a pretty cool guy and has great banter. That's the kind of reaching across the aisle we need. But Mike Johnson wasn't done revealing which authoritarian leaders he admires most. He then went on to talk about Benjamin Netanyahu and called the cute nickname. Like there's some old school college buddies. He says he's glad to host him and that he's closest with him of all.
But I hosted Bibi Netanyahu, Prime Minister, for a joint address to Congress, and that was a big evening for us and for me, and I was glad to host him. So I'm probably closest to him.
Now, Netanyahu is currently overseeing a military occupation in Gaza that has killed over 69,000 Palestinians. The International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for him in November for his war crimes and crimes against humanity. Thousands of children are dead. Hospitals bombed. The ICC concluded that there's credible evidence he's using starvation as a weapon of war. And Mike Johnson's besties with him, best buds. So just to recap, Mike Johnson's favorite world leaders, a guy accused by U.S. intelligence of murdering a journalist, and a guy facing an ICC arrest warrant for war crimes. These are the people who impressed the Speaker of the House. These are his boys. And he said that all while on a podcast, as if he's talking about his favorite football teams, just casually praising accused murderers and alleged war criminals. Slay. This is American foreign policy now. We don't even get to pretend that this isn't satire. We just go on podcasts and openly praise people who murder journalists, as long as they're funny about it, as long as they have oil, as long as they have weapons that they're going to buy from us. The mask isn't slipping. There's no more mask. It's just out there in the open. And if you're a Saudi descendant watching this, if you're a journalist in an authoritarian country, you know exactly what American values are worth. The Speaker of the House thinks your potential murderer has great energy and killer jokes, literally. And connecting this back to Ramaswamy's dramatic, we're at a fork in the road, we're saving the country. Yeah, this is what saving the country looks like. Dismantling public education at home while praising murderers abroad. True patriotic stuff. Ramaswamy wants to own responsibility by making teachers work year-round, making poverty wages, and Mike Johnson owns responsibility by being besties with war criminals. These are our leaders. This is the vision. This is the Republican Party in 2025. Your kids' schools are failing because we defunded them, but at least we're close personal friends with people who murder journalists. Priorities. This should be everywhere. Every journalist should be asking, hey, quick question. Does MBS sense of humor make up for the whole ordering a journalist murder thing? Just trying to understand your thought process here, but it won't be a scandal because these clips don't really circulate too broadly. Some people will be mad. Others will just say that's just how geopolitics works, while pretending that praising somebody's personality is the same thing as maintaining diplomatic relations. And then we'll move on because the next horror, because American politicians can say literally anything now. And if you've enjoyed this video, please take a moment to subscribe.